The night is warm. A slow wind moves across the desert beyond the Nile. It travels over quiet sand, around dark stones, and through clusters of mud brick homes resting beneath a sky full of distant stars. Far away, the river continues its gentle journey north. Its waters move without hurry. The sound is soft. Almost too soft to hear. In a small Egyptian village, most of the day's work has finally ended. The heat that covered the land during the afternoon has begun to loosen its grip. The air remains warm, but it no longer presses heavily against tired shoulders. A few lamps still glow behind narrow doorways. A few voices drift through the darkness. Somewhere a dog shifts in the dust before settling once again. And outside one simple home, the desert wind quietly passes. Imagine sitting there now. The wall beside you is made from sun-dried mud bricks. The surface feels rough beneath your fingertips. Small marks remain from the hands that shaped each brick many years ago. The house is not large. Most homes in Egypt are not. Its rooms are simple. The furniture is plain. Nothing here is meant to impress anyone. Everything exists for practical reasons. Inside live ordinary people. People whose names have long been forgotten. People who worked, rested, worried, laughed, and slept beneath the same sky thousands of years ago. Tonight, their home is quiet. The family has nearly finished preparing for sleep. The youngest children are already lying on woven mats. Their eyes grow heavy. The older members of the household remain awake a little longer. A mother quietly arranges clay bowls that were used during the evening meal. A father stretches tired muscles after a long day of labor. An older grandmother sits near the doorway where the night air can reach her. She listens to the wind. The wind has become familiar over many years. It arrives almost every evening. Sometimes it carries cool relief. Sometimes it brings dust. Tonight it is gentle. It slips through narrow streets and brushes softly against the walls of the village. For a moment, nothing needs to happen. The family simply exists within the quiet. Earlier that morning, everything was very different. Before sunrise, the village had already begun to wake. The darkness remained thick over the Nile. Stars still filled the sky. Yet movement had already started. Workers rose from their sleeping mats. Sandals touched packed earth floors. Doors opened. Voices murmured. People prepared themselves for another day. Ancient Egypt often began before the sun. The hours after dawn would quickly become hot. Those who worked outdoors preferred to use every cool moment available. Farmers especially understood this rhythm. Many had learned it from parents and grandparents. Long before sunlight reached the fields, they were already gathering tools. Some carried wooden hoes. Others balanced baskets across their shoulders. Some walked quietly toward the river. The Nile was life. It fed crops. It supplied water. It connected communities. Its steady presence shaped nearly every routine. Even now, during the calm of night, the river remains nearby. A dark ribbon moving through the landscape. A constant companion to countless generations. Back in the village, the grandmother continues listening to the wind. She has listened to many sounds throughout her life. The splash of oars. The calls of merchants. The pounding of grain. The crying of infants. The distant sounds of construction. But the desert wind remains one of the most familiar. It asks for nothing. It simply arrives. Across the village, another household prepares for sleep. A fisherman lies near an open doorway. His arms feel heavy from rowing. His shoulders ache from lifting nets. The smell of river water still lingers on his clothing. Tomorrow he will return to the Nile before sunrise. Tonight he allows himself a few moments of rest. The fishing boats wait quietly along the shore. Wooden hulls rock gently against small waves. Ropes creak softly. The river continues moving beneath moonlight. Nearby, reeds sway with the breeze. Everything feels slow. Everything feels calm. A little farther away, a baker sleeps beside sacks of grain. His day began while the stars were still visible. Bread was needed before most villagers woke. The work required patience. Grinding grain took time. Mixing dough took time. Heating ovens took time. Almost everything in ancient Egypt required time. There were few shortcuts. Most tasks depended upon steady effort. Hands performed work hour after hour. Day after day. Season after season. The baker knows tomorrow will be much like today. And somehow that thought brings comfort. Routine surrounds him like a familiar blanket. The village itself follows routines too. Morning arrives. Work begins. Heat rises. People labor. Meals are prepared. The sun slowly lowers. Then night returns. Again and again. For generations. The grandmother outside the mudbrick home watches the stars. Many ancient Egyptians spent time beneath the open sky. Their homes protected them from heat and dust, but evenings often encouraged people outdoors. The cooler air felt welcome. Families gathered together. Stories were shared. Simple conversations filled the darkness. Children listened. Older relatives remembered. The night became a place for rest. Not complete silence, but a softer world than daylight. The grandmother remembers evenings from her childhood. She remembers helping carry water jars. She remembers sweeping floors. She remembers waiting for bread to finish baking. She remembers hearing the same wind moving through the village. So much has changed. Yet so much remains the same. The wind continues. The stars continue. The river continues. Inside the home, a small oil lamp flickers. Its light dances gently across the walls. Shadows stretch and shrink. The flame is tiny, but valuable. Artificial light is precious. Most nighttime activities remain limited. People do not stay awake unnecessarily. Sleep matters. Tomorrow's work requires strength. A young laborer in another part of the settlement has already fallen asleep. His hands are rough. Tiny scars cover his fingers. Throughout the day he helped move stone blocks for a construction project. The work was repetitive. Heavy. Slow. Yet important. Many large structures depended upon thousands of ordinary workers. Not famous rulers. Not wealthy officials. Ordinary people. People who woke early. People who became tired. People who returned home aching. Their stories rarely appear on monuments. Yet they filled the ancient world. The laborer shifts slightly in his sleep. His muscles continue recovering from the day's effort. Outside, the night deepens. The wind brushes against roofs made from reeds and mud. Dust drifts softly across empty paths. A donkey stands quietly near a wall. Its ears twitch occasionally. Then stillness returns. The village breathes slowly. The same peaceful rhythm can be found along many stretches of the Nile. Villages rise and rest. Fields grow and fade. Boats come and go. People live ordinary lives. Most history remembers kings. But most life belongs to everyone else. The farmers. The fishermen, the bakers, the builders, the mothers carrying water, the children learning routines, the elderly resting near doorways. Tonight, as the desert wind passes through the darkness, those ordinary lives feel close. Almost close enough to touch. Hours earlier, when the sun stood high overhead, the village felt completely different. Heat covered everything. The ground shimmered. Workers searched for shade whenever possible. Animals moved more slowly. Even conversations seemed quieter. The desert sun could be relentless. Many laborers wrapped cloth around their heads. Many paused briefly beneath trees. Others sat beside walls where narrow strips of shade remained. Water became precious. Every sip mattered. By midday, exhaustion often settled over the community. Yet work continued. Fields still required attention. Buildings still needed repairs. Goods still traveled between settlements. Life moved forward despite the heat. Now, however, darkness has softened the world. The harsh brightness is gone. The air feels gentler. People rest. Bodies recover. Minds grow quiet. The grandmother finally rises from her place near the doorway. Her joints feel stiff. Age has slowed her movements. Still, she smiles faintly. The wind has been pleasant tonight. She steps inside. The lamp continues flickering. Family members sleep nearby. The room smells faintly of baked bread and clay. She settles onto her mat. The sounds outside become distant. Yet the desert wind remains. Always moving. Always wandering across the ancient land. And somewhere beyond the village, beyond the fields, beyond the dark river itself, the vast desert stretches beneath the stars. Silent. Patient. Endless. The wind travels there too. Across dunes shaped by countless seasons. Across forgotten paths. Across places where few people walk after sunset. Its journey never truly ends. And as the village drifts deeper into sleep, the wind continues carrying its soft whisper through the ancient Egyptian night. The desert wind continues its slow journey through the darkness. Long after the last conversation has faded and long after the final lamp has been extinguished, the air still moves gently across the village. Most people are asleep now. The narrow streets lie empty. The workshops stand silent. The storage buildings rest in darkness. Only the occasional sound of an animal interrupts the quiet. A donkey shifts its weight. A goat settles more comfortably against a wall. Then stillness returns. The stars remain bright overhead. Without city lights or distant noise, the night sky appears enormous. Thousands of points of light stretch across the heavens. Ancient Egyptians spent many evenings beneath this sky. They knew its patterns well. Farmers noticed the changing positions of certain stars. Boatmen used familiar constellations during river journeys. Priests observed the heavens with careful attention. But ordinary families often experienced the sky in a simpler way. It was simply there. A beautiful roof above their lives. A constant companion during warm evenings. Inside the mudbrick home, the family sleeps. The youngest child curls beneath a light linen covering. His breathing is slow and even. Nearby, his older sister sleeps on a woven mat. The day's work has left her exhausted. Even children often carried responsibilities. They fetched water. They helped grind grain. They swept floors. They watched younger brothers and sisters. Life in ancient Egypt involved work from an early age. Yet moments of play still existed. Children found games in simple objects. A smooth stone. A carved piece of wood. A small ball woven from reeds. Simple pleasures filled the spaces between duties. Tonight those games have been forgotten. Sleep has taken their place. Outside, the village remains wrapped in darkness. A faint breeze passes over flat rooftops. Many homes have roofs that serve several purposes. During cooler evenings people sometimes gather there. Food might dry there beneath the sun. Tools might be stored there. Sometimes people even sleep there during especially warm nights. The roofs become another room beneath the open sky. From one rooftop, if you could look outward now, you would see the Nile reflecting scattered moonlight. The river never truly sleeps. Day and night it moves quietly through the land. Its presence influences nearly everything around it. The crops growing in nearby fields depend upon its water. The fishermen depend upon its fish. The merchants depend upon its transportation. The villages depend upon its generosity. Without the Nile, life here would be unimaginably difficult. Beyond the river lies the desert. Its silence feels endless. The contrast is striking. One side offers water, life, and green fields. The other offers vast stretches of sand and stone. Ancient Egyptians understood this balance deeply. Every day they lived beside it. Every season they depended upon it. And every night, the desert wind reminded them of the world beyond their cultivated fields. Several hours pass. The village sleeps. The stars slowly move across the sky. Eventually, the darkest portion of night begins to arrive. This is the quietest time. The hours when most dreams are deepest. The hours when even restless animals become still. The air feels cooler now. Not cold. Just pleasantly cool after the heat of the day. The mud brick walls hold some of the earlier warmth. The floors remain comfortable beneath sleeping bodies. These homes are simple, yet surprisingly practical. Mud bricks help regulate temperature. They protect families from intense sunlight. They create shelter using materials found nearby. Workers gather mud. They mix it with straw. They shape bricks by hand. Then they leave them beneath the sun to harden. Thousands upon thousands of such bricks have been made over centuries. Each one represents labor. Each one reflects patience. Building a home is rarely quick. Many hands contribute. Families help one another. Neighbors assist neighbors. Communities grow through cooperation. Perhaps that is one reason village life feels so connected. People depend upon each other. The baker depends upon farmers. Farmers depend upon toolmakers. Toolmakers depend upon merchants. Merchants depend upon boatmen. The web of daily life touches everyone. As the night continues, a fisherman sleeping near the river stirs briefly. His body remembers the rhythm of rowing. For a moment he wakes. He hears water. He hears wind. He hears almost nothing else. Then sleep returns. Tomorrow's work waits patiently. It always does. Ancient life follows dependable patterns. The seasons change. The river rises. The river falls. Fields are planted. Fields are harvested. Food is stored. Repairs are made. Children grow older. The cycle continues. For most people, these rhythms matter far more than distant political events. A farmer worries about crops. A parent worries about family. A fisherman worries about weather and nets. Daily concerns occupy most thoughts. Even now, while the village sleeps, tomorrow's tasks quietly approach. Before sunrise, movement will begin again. Doors will open. Sandals will touch dusty ground. Voices will return. The silence of night will slowly retreat. But not yet. There is still time for rest. Still time for dreams. Still time for the peaceful hours before dawn. Far along the Nile, another village rests beneath the same stars. Its homes look similar. Its routines are familiar. Its people share many of the same concerns. Ancient Egypt is vast. Yet ordinary life often feels remarkably alike from one community to another. People seek food. People seek shelter. People seek comfort. People seek companionship. These needs remain unchanged across centuries. The details differ. The tools differ. The clothing differs. But the human experience remains recognizable. A mother soothing a child. A worker resting tired muscles. An elderly relative enjoying cool evening air. Such moments belong to every age. The desert wind passes through another cluster of homes. A few loose grains of sand roll gently across the ground. Palm leaves rustle softly. Somewhere, a night bird calls. The sound is brief. Then silence returns once more. Near the edge of the village stands a small workshop. During daylight hours it is busy. Hands shape pottery there. Clay spins beneath careful fingers. Bowls emerge. Jars emerge. Storage containers emerge. Objects needed by nearly every household. The potter's work is skilled but repetitive. Day after day similar forms appear. Each piece requires attention. Too much pressure can ruin a shape. Too little pressure creates imperfections. Patience becomes essential. Tonight the workshop is empty. The wheel stands motionless. Finished pottery rests in neat rows. Waiting. Everything can wait until morning. The night grants permission to pause. Even the busiest workers must rest eventually. The body demands it. The mind welcomes it. As the stars continue their slow movement overhead, the first hint of approaching dawn remains far away. The darkness still feels complete. Yet somewhere beyond the horizon, time quietly advances. A guard assigned to watch stored grain fights against sleep. His task is simple. Remain alert. Protect valuable supplies. Observe anything unusual. Most nights little happens. The work can be lonely. Hours pass with almost no activity. The wind becomes his companion. The stars become familiar friends. He watches shadows move. He listens to distant sounds. He waits. Ancient life contains many such quiet responsibilities. Not every task involves heavy labor. Some involve patience. Some involve observation. Some involve endurance. The guard understands this. He wraps his cloak slightly tighter against the cooler air and continues watching. Nearby, several cats move silently through the darkness. Cats are common companions in Egypt. They hunt rodents. They help protect food supplies. Their graceful movements seem perfectly suited to nighttime. Soft paws make little noise. Bright eyes notice every motion. The cats disappear between buildings and continue their silent patrol. Hours drift by. The village remains peaceful. The Nile flows steadily. The desert wind continues. Eventually the eastern horizon begins to change. Only slightly at first. The darkness softens. Black becomes deep blue. Deep blue becomes a gentler shade. The stars remain visible but less brilliant. Dawn approaches. The village does not wake all at once. The transition is gradual. A few people rise early. A few animals become active. The first signs of life appear. A rooster calls somewhere in the distance. Another answers. Soon after, a door opens. A worker steps outside. The air feels wonderfully cool. For a brief time, the harsh heat of the day remains absent. Many people appreciate these early hours. They provide a chance to work comfortably. They offer quiet moments before responsibilities multiply. The worker stretches. He looks toward the brightening horizon. Another day is beginning. Another day much like countless others before it. Yet each day still carries its own small details. Its own conversations. Its own tasks. Its own memories. Inside the mud-brick home, the grandmother slowly awakens. The sounds of morning reach her ears. She hears movement outside. She hears distant voices. She hears the village returning to life. The night has ended, but its calm remains. For a few moments she lies still. She remembers the wind from the evening before. She remembers the stars. She remembers the peaceful silence that settled over the village. Then she rises carefully. A new day waits. The family will soon awaken. Water must be carried. Food must be prepared. Work must begin. The ancient rhythm continues. Outside, the first sunlight touches the tops of distant palm trees. Golden light spreads gradually across the landscape. Fields begin to glow. The river reflects the morning sky. Birds move above the water. The world feels fresh. For a little while, before the heat returns, everything seems gentle. The baker will soon light his ovens. The fishermen will prepare their boats. The farmers will walk toward their fields. The potter will return to his wheel. The merchants will organize their goods. Life unfolds once more. And somewhere beyond the village, beyond the cultivated land, beyond the green ribbon of the Nile, the desert wind continues its endless wandering through the ancient Egyptian world. The first light of morning spreads slowly across the Nile Valley. The darkness does not disappear all at once. Instead, it retreats gently. Shadows soften. The outlines of homes become clearer. Palm trees emerge from the fading night. The river begins to reflect pale gold and silver colors from the brightening sky. For a few precious moments, the air remains cool. These are some of the most comfortable hours of the day. Many workers treasure this brief period before the sun climbs higher. The village gradually awakens. A doorway opens. Then another. Then another. The sounds are small and ordinary. Sandals brushing against packed earth. Clay jars being lifted. A quiet cough. The low murmur of morning greetings. Nothing feels hurried. Ancient life often follows a steady rhythm rather than a rushed one. People have much work to do, but they understand that the day is long. The grandmother steps outside her home. The morning air touches her face. She pauses for a moment. The village still feels peaceful. A few birds fly overhead. Their wings catch the early sunlight. Nearby, someone begins sweeping dust away from a doorway. The soft scraping sound blends into the growing life of the morning. The grandmother walks slowly toward a water jar standing near the wall. The jar is large and heavy. Water is one of the most important parts of daily life. Every household depends upon it. Every meal requires it. Every worker needs it. Throughout Egypt, countless hours are spent carrying, storing, pouring, and protecting water. The Nile provides abundance, but obtaining water still requires effort. Someone must fetch it. Someone must transport it. Someone must keep the storage vessels clean. Simple tasks fill much of the day. Inside the home, the rest of the family begins waking. The children rub sleep from their eyes. The father stretches his back. His muscles remain sore from yesterday's labor. Such soreness is familiar. Many workers wake with aching shoulders and tired legs. The body rarely feels completely rested after years of physical work. Yet people continue. The fields need tending. Buildings need repairing. Food needs preparing. Life moves forward through steady effort. The father steps outside. Morning light now reaches the tops of nearby walls. He inhales deeply. The cooler air feels refreshing. Soon the heat will arrive. For now, there is comfort. Nearby, smoke begins rising from a few homes. Breakfast preparations have started. Simple meals are common. Bread appears often. It is one of the foundations of daily life. Grain must first be harvested, then dried, then stored, then ground into flour, then mixed into dough, then baked. Every loaf represents many hours of labor performed by many people. The smell of fresh bread gradually drifts through the village. Warm, comforting, familiar. A baker is already busy. His day often begins earlier than most. Inside his workspace, the ovens radiate heat. The fire crackles softly. The baker's hands move through motions practiced thousands of times. He shapes dough. He checks temperatures. He watches carefully. The work requires attention. Even a routine task demands skill. Outside, a young boy carries a small basket. His responsibility this morning is simple. He must deliver bread to a relative living nearby. The distance is short. The task is ordinary. Yet these small errands help hold communities together. People visit one another frequently. Goods are shared. Help is exchanged. Relationships grow through everyday interactions. The boy walks down a narrow lane. Dust rises gently beneath his feet. The village is becoming busier now. Workers move toward their jobs. Voices become more common. Donkeys carry supplies. Children assist parents. The quiet of night has faded completely. Still, the pace remains calm. No one rushes unnecessarily. The sun continues rising. Golden light spreads across the fields beyond the settlement. Farmers are already at work. Rows of crops stretch beside irrigation channels. Water glimmers in the early sunlight. The fields require constant attention. Weeds must be removed. Channels must be maintained. Plants must be monitored. Agriculture demands patience. A farmer cannot hurry a crop into growing. He can only provide care and wait. Many aspects of ancient life teach patience in the same way. The river follows its own schedule. The seasons follow their own schedule. The crops follow their own schedule. People learn to live within these larger rhythms. A farmer bends over a row of young plants. His movements are steady and deliberate. The work is not exciting. It is repetitive. Hour after hour, similar motions continue. Yet this labor feeds families. It supports entire communities. Without farmers, the village could not survive. Nearby, another farmer pauses briefly. He wipes sweat from his forehead. Even though the morning is still young, the warmth is beginning to increase. The desert sun never stays gentle for long. Everyone knows what awaits later. By midday, the heat will settle heavily across the land. Workers prepare themselves mentally for it. For now, they continue their tasks. Closer to the Nile, fishermen are preparing boats. The river looks peaceful. Small ripples move across its surface. Birds glide low over the water. The fishermen inspect their nets carefully. A damaged net can cause problems later. Small repairs performed now may save frustration later. One man sits quietly mending a torn section. His fingers move skillfully. Thread passes through rope. Knot follows knot. The process is slow. Yet there is something calming about repetitive work. The mind settles into the task. Thoughts drip gently. The river provides a peaceful backdrop. Soon the boats begin moving. Oars dip into the water. Soft splashes echo across the shoreline. The fishermen push away from land and begin another day on the Nile. The village watches them depart. It is a familiar sight. The same scene has repeated for generations. Children have watched fishermen leave. Parents have watched fishermen leave. Grandparents have watched fishermen leave. The rhythm continues. Back within the village, workshops begin opening. A carpenter lifts a wooden door. A potter prepares clay. A stone worker arranges tools. The sounds of labor gradually fill the air. Not loud sounds. Simply the noises of people making a living. Wood being shaped. Clay being pressed. Stone being smoothed. Hands remain busy throughout the morning. The potter sits at his wheel. Before him rests a lump of damp clay. At first it appears ordinary. Nothing remarkable. Then the wheel begins turning. The clay responds. Slowly, patiently, a shape emerges. The potter's fingers guide every movement. Years of experience live within those hands. He understands how much pressure to apply. He understands when to wait. He understands when to adjust. By midday, several useful vessels may stand drying nearby. Water jars. Storage containers. Cooking bowls. Simple objects that become part of daily life. A customer may use one of these vessels for decades. It may hold grain. It may hold water. It may hold oil. Ordinary objects quietly support ordinary lives. The morning continues. The sun climbs higher. The shadows shorten. The air grows warmer. People notice the change. They always do. Workers begin searching for opportunities to rest briefly in shade. A tree becomes valuable. A wall becomes valuable. Even a narrow strip of shadow becomes welcome. The grandmother sits near the doorway once again. She watches village life unfold around her. Years have taught her to observe. She notices small details. A child carrying water carefully. A merchant arranging goods. A neighbor repairing sandals. Life consists of countless small actions woven together. Each action seems minor on its own. Together they create an entire community. A young mother walks by carrying a clay jar. Her pace is measured. The jar is heavy. Balancing it requires practice. Many women become remarkably skilled at carrying loads over long distances. The task appears effortless. In reality, it reflects years of experience. The mother continues toward her home. Her children follow behind. Dust swirls softly around their feet. The smell of baking bread still lingers in the air. The village feels alive. Yet even during busy moments, there is a certain calmness. Perhaps it comes from familiarity. Most people know exactly what tomorrow will resemble. Most people know exactly what next week will resemble. Life changes slowly. The routines become deeply rooted. As the morning approaches midday, the heat strengthens further. The bright sun dominates the sky. Workers squint against the light. Sweat appears more frequently. Movement becomes slightly slower. The hottest hours are approaching. The Nile continues flowing beside it all. Unbothered. Steady. Reliable. Its waters catch the sunlight and scatter it into countless sparkling reflections. Boatmen move along its surface. Farmers draw water from its edges. Birds gather among reeds. The river serves everyone. It connects villages, fields, workshops, and homes into one living landscape. And somewhere beyond the cultivated land, beyond the fields and villages and riverbanks, the desert wind waits. Later, when evening returns and the heat begins to fade, it will once again travel through the narrow streets. It will brush against mud brick walls. It will whisper through open doorways. It will cool tired workers resting after another long day. But for now, morning continues its slow journey toward afternoon, and the people of ancient Egypt carry on with the patient work that shapes their lives beside the timeless waters of the Nile. The morning slowly leans toward afternoon. The sun rises higher and higher until it seems to rest almost directly above the Nile Valley. Its light becomes stronger. Its warmth becomes heavier. The gentle coolness that greeted the village before sunrise now feels like a distant memory. The air shimmers above dusty roads. Stone surfaces grow hot beneath the sunlight. Even the mud brick walls begin absorbing the day's heat. People continue working, but their movements change slightly. The pace becomes slower. Not because they are lazy. Simply because the heat asks more from every step. Every lifted basket feels heavier. Every journey feels longer. Every task requires more energy. A farmer pauses beside an irrigation channel. The water moves quietly beside him. For a moment he kneels and splashes cool water onto his face. The relief is immediate. Tiny droplets slide down his cheeks and disappear into the dust below. Then he rises again. The crops still need attention. The work continues. Around him, the fields stretch across the landscape. Rows of green plants stand in contrast to the golden earth surrounding them. The sight would be familiar to generations of Egyptians. Life clings closely to the Nile. Beyond the cultivated land waits the desert. But here, beside the river, food can grow. Families can thrive. Communities can survive. The farmer looks across the fields. Other workers move steadily beneath the bright sky. Some carry tools. Some inspect crops. Some repair irrigation channels damaged by time and use. Every task contributes to the harvest months later. Patience remains part of every season. Back in the village, shade has become valuable. Many people seek it whenever possible. A narrow alley between buildings feels cooler than the open road. A palm tree creates a welcome patch of darkness. A doorway offers temporary relief. Even animals understand this. A donkey stands quietly beside a wall. Its eyes half close. Its ears twitch occasionally. Otherwise it remains still. Saving energy has become important. The hottest hours of the day have arrived. Inside a pottery workshop, the atmosphere feels different. The thick walls help block some of the heat. The shade offers comfort. Several workers sit together shaping clay. The repetitive motion continues hour after hour. Hands press. Hands smooth. Hands shape. The work is steady. Almost peaceful. One worker forms a simple bowl. Another shapes a storage jar. A third carefully decorates the surface of a vessel that will eventually hold oil. The room smells faintly of damp earth. The scent comes from the clay itself. Nearby, finished pieces wait patiently to dry. Rows of pottery stand quietly like silent companions. Each one will eventually travel into someone's daily life. A family will store grain in one. A merchant will transport goods in another. A baker may use another for ingredients. Simple objects become part of countless routines. Across the village, a carpenter wipes sweat from his forehead. Woodworking requires patience. Suitable wood is precious. Egypt possesses many resources, but large quantities of timber are not among them. Because of this, carpenters often work carefully. Materials must not be wasted. Every piece matters. The carpenter examines a wooden stool he has been repairing. The legs need strengthening. The seat needs adjustment. Nothing dramatic. Just ordinary maintenance. Much of ancient life involves repairing rather than replacing. People care for possessions. They mend them. They strengthen them. They keep them useful for as long as possible. The carpenter continues working. The sound of tools blends softly with distant village noises. Not far away, the smell of bread still lingers. Some ovens remain active throughout much of the day. Food preparation never truly stops. Families must eat. Workers need energy. Children grow hungry. Meals require constant attention. Inside one home, a woman kneels beside a grinding stone. Her task is repetitive. Grain must become flour. The work demands effort. Back and forth. Again and again. The stone moves steadily. Hours pass this way. Many ancient tasks involve repetition. Modern observers might find them tiring. And indeed they are. Yet people adapt. Rhythms develop. Songs are sometimes sung. Conversations occur. Thoughts drift. The body learns the routine. The woman pauses briefly. She stretches tired arms. Then continues. The household depends upon her work. Outside, the streets remain active despite the heat. Merchants move through the village carrying goods. Some transport vegetables. Others carry baskets. Some bring fish from the river. Others offer cloth or pottery. Trade connects communities. Even small villages depend upon exchange. People specialize in different skills. Goods move from one set of hands to another. Relationships form through these daily transactions. A merchant stops beneath a patch of shade. His sandals are dusty from travel. His water supply is nearly gone. For several minutes he rests. The silence feels welcome. A slight breeze moves through the street. Not strong. Just enough to stir loose dust. The merchant closes his eyes briefly. The coolness feels pleasant. Then he stands once more. The journey continues. At the edge of the village, children gather near a shallow area of water. Their responsibilities for the moment are finished. They laugh softly. They splash carefully. They enjoy a short break from chores. Even in hard-working communities, moments of simple joy appear. Children remain children. They explore. They imagine. They play whenever opportunities arise. Before long, parents call them back. Tasks remain unfinished. The children obey. Life continues. The afternoon grows older. The sunlight shifts slowly. Shadows begin lengthening once more. The most intense heat gradually loosens its grip. Workers notice the change. It arrives almost unnoticed at first. The air feels slightly less heavy. The ground radiates less warmth. Breathing becomes easier. A farmer standing in his field looks toward the west. The sun has begun its slow descent. Many hours of work still remain before evening. Yet the hardest part of the day has passed. That knowledge alone feels comforting. Nearby, birds gather along the riverbank. Some search for food among reeds. Others rest quietly. The Nile reflects the afternoon sky in shimmering patterns. A fishing boat glides across the water. Its movement is smooth and unhurried. The oars dip rhythmically. Splash. Pause. Splash. Pause. The sound repeats again and again. Simple. Steady. Calming. The fishermen work patiently. Some days bring larger catches. Some days bring smaller catches. Experience teaches them not to expect certainty. The river provides according to its own nature. All they can do is prepare well and work diligently. Farther along the shore, a group of laborers rest beneath a cluster of palm trees. Their morning has been demanding. Muscles ache. Hands feel rough. Faces shine with sweat. Yet there is comfort in resting together. A few quiet conversations drift through the shade. Nothing important. Just ordinary words exchanged among people sharing similar lives. Work often creates friendships. Shared effort builds understanding. The laborers drink water and enjoy the brief pause. Soon they will return to their tasks. But not quite yet. The shade feels too pleasant. Back in the village, the grandmother watches another afternoon unfold. She has witnessed thousands of such days. Thousands of sunrises. Thousands of evenings. Thousands of changing seasons. The rhythms of life feel deeply familiar. Perhaps that is why she enjoys simply observing. She no longer rushes from task to task. Instead she notices details. The way sunlight falls across a wall. The way dust swirls behind a passing donkey. The way children move through the streets. The way the village breathes. Time feels slower when one pays attention. And so she watches. The afternoon continues. The carpenter finishes his repair. The potter shapes another vessel. The baker prepares more dough. The fishermen work the river. The farmers tend their fields. Each person follows a familiar path through the day. No grand events occur. No dramatic changes arrive. Only ordinary life unfolding beside the Nile. And perhaps that is what makes these moments so peaceful. History often remembers extraordinary things. Yet most people spend their lives within ordinary days. Days filled with work. Days filled with meals. Days filled with conversations. Days filled with rest. The quiet rhythm of daily existence forms the true heartbeat of the ancient world. As the sun lowers farther toward the western horizon, a subtle anticipation begins to spread. Workers know evening is approaching. They know relief is coming. Soon shadows will stretch across the village. Soon the air will cool. Soon ovens will glow. Soon families will gather. Soon tired bodies will return home. And somewhere beyond the green fields and riverbanks, the desert wind is already beginning its evening journey. It moves across distant sand. It passes over silent stones. It travels patiently toward the villages of the Nile. Toward the mudbrick homes. Toward the tired workers. Toward the quiet conversations waiting beneath the coming night. And little by little, the long afternoon drifts toward evening. The afternoon slowly gives way to evening. The change happens gently. At first, only the shadows seem different. They grow longer across the dusty roads. Palm trees cast dark shapes that stretch farther and farther across the ground. The sunlight softens. Its harsh brightness begins to fade. Workers notice immediately. A quiet feeling of relief spreads through the village. The hardest hours of the day are ending. The farmer standing beside an irrigation channel straightens his back. His muscles feel tired. His shoulders ache from hours spent beneath the sun. Dust clings to his legs. Sweat has dried upon his skin. Yet the sight of the lowering sun brings comfort. Soon he will leave the fields. Soon he will return home. For now, he completes a few final tasks. Water continues flowing through the channels. The crops stand quietly in neat rows. Everything appears calm beneath the golden evening light. Nearby, other farmers are finishing their work as well. Tools are gathered. Baskets are lifted. Small conversations begin. The workday is not completely finished, but its end can be seen. And somehow that makes every remaining task feel lighter. Along the Nile, the fishermen are also preparing to return. The river glows beneath the setting sun. Gold dances upon the surface of the water. Tiny ripples catch the light and scatter it in every direction. The sight is beautiful in a simple way. Not dramatic. Not grand. Just peaceful. One fisherman pauses before rowing home. For a moment he watches the river. He has seen this scene countless times. Yet it never feels exactly the same. Every evening carries its own quiet character. The air feels different. The colors change slightly. The water reflects a different sky. He takes a deep breath. Then the boat turns toward shore. The day is ending. The village grows busier as workers return. Dust rises beneath sandals. Voices become more common. Children run to greet parents. Neighbors exchange greetings. Donkeys carry the final loads of the day. The streets that felt sleepy during the hottest hours now feel alive once again. Not noisy. Just comfortably active. A merchant arrives after a long journey. His feet are sore. His clothing carries the dust of distant roads. He leads a tired donkey through the village. The animal walks slowly. Neither one wishes to hurry. They have traveled far enough already. Soon both will rest. Inside the pottery workshop, the final pieces are arranged carefully. The potter wipes clay from his hands. Rows of vessels stand drying nearby. Bowls. Jars. Containers. Simple creations shaped from earth and patience. The day's work has been successful. Nothing extraordinary happened. Yet useful objects now exist where none existed before. That is enough. The potter closes the workshop and steps outside. The evening air feels wonderful after hours spent working indoors. He pauses for a moment. The sky is changing color. Soft gold becomes pale orange. Orange slowly deepens. The village glows beneath the fading sunlight. Nearby, a baker removes fresh bread from an oven. The smell drifts through the streets. Warm. Rich. Comforting. Many families are preparing their evening meal. Cooking fires appear. Clay pots simmer gently. Voices gather around doorways. The atmosphere begins to change from labor to rest. A woman carries water home. Children help arrange simple bowls. Someone sweeps dust from a floor. Someone repairs a sandal damaged during the day. Small evening tasks fill the final hours before darkness. The grandmother sits near the doorway once more. This has become her favorite place. From here she can watch the village. She can feel the evening breeze. She can listen to distant sounds. And tonight, the breeze has returned. Very gently at first. Almost unnoticed. A soft movement of air brushes past the walls. Palm leaves rustle quietly. Dust shifts across the road. The desert wind has begun its journey. Far beyond the village, it traveled across open land. Across silent stretches of sand. Across lonely rocks warmed by the day's sunlight. Now it arrives at the edge of the Nile Valley. Cooler than before. Gentler than before. The grandmother closes her eyes for a moment. The breeze touches her face. It feels familiar. It feels comforting. She has known this wind for most of her life. Around her, evening continues unfolding. The father returns from work. His movements are slower now. Fatigue weighs upon him. Yet there is satisfaction as well. The day's responsibilities have been met. The crops received care. The labor was completed. Tomorrow will bring new tasks. But tomorrow has not arrived yet. Tonight belongs to rest. His children gather nearby. One begins talking about something seen earlier that day. Another shares a small discovery. Their words tumble over each other. The father listens quietly. A faint smile appears. Simple conversations often become some of the most pleasant moments of the evening. The pressure of work has lifted. The heat has faded. Families can simply be together. As darkness approaches, the Nile becomes quieter. Fishing boats return to shore. Ropes are secured. Nets are inspected. The fishermen carry their catches home. The river itself continues flowing steadily. Always moving. Always present. Its waters reflect the final colors of sunset. Soon those colors will disappear into darkness. Birds settle among reeds. Their calls become less frequent. The natural world prepares for night. In the village, lamps begin appearing. Small flames flicker inside homes. The light is soft. Golden. Gentle. Shadows dance across mud-brick walls. The atmosphere becomes intimate. The world feels smaller after sunset. Daylight reveals distant fields and broad landscapes. Lamplight reveals family and home. A mother tears pieces of bread for the evening meal. Simple food fills the bowls. Nothing extravagant. Just enough to satisfy hunger after a long day. Meals often feel especially comforting at this hour. The body is tired. The air is cooler. The work is finished. People eat slowly. They enjoy the opportunity to sit. They enjoy being together. The grandmother listens to conversations around her. Some concern work. Some concern neighbors. Some concern plans for tomorrow. Nothing dramatic. Just ordinary life continuing through another evening. Outside, the desert wind grows slightly stronger. Not harsh. Not unpleasant. Just steady. It moves through narrow streets. It brushes against doorways. It slips across rooftops. It carries the scent of dry earth. The village seems to breathe along with it. After the meal, many people remain outside for a while. The night air feels too pleasant to ignore. Children sit beside parents. Neighbors exchange quiet greetings. Stories are shared. Questions are asked. Answers are given. The pace remains slow. No one rushes. The darkness deepens. One by one, stars begin appearing overhead. First a few. Then many. Soon the sky becomes crowded with light. The same stars watched by countless generations. The same stars shining above farmers, fishermen, potters, merchants, builders, and families. The grandmother gazes upward. She has spent many evenings doing exactly this. The sight never loses its quiet beauty. Above her stretches an endless sky. Below her rests a peaceful village. Between them moves the soft desert wind. The sounds of work have disappeared now. No tools strike stone. No carts roll through the streets. No merchants call out. Instead there are softer sounds. Quiet voices. A distant animal. The rustling of palm leaves. The whisper of moving air. The world feels calm. The father leans against the wall of his home. His body is tired in the pleasant way that follows honest work. The children grow sleepy. Their voices become quieter. Their eyes become heavier. Soon they will sleep. Soon most of the village will sleep. But for now, the evening still lingers. The stars shine brightly overhead. The Nile flows quietly nearby. The desert wind continues its endless wandering through the ancient land. And beneath the peaceful Egyptian sky, ordinary families enjoy the simple comfort of another day gently coming to an end. The evening settles deeper into the village. The last colors of sunset have disappeared from the horizon. The sky above the Nile is now dark and wide, filled with stars that seem brighter with every passing moment. The heat of the day continues to fade. The air feels comfortable. A gentle coolness moves through the narrow streets. The desert wind has fully arrived. It travels softly between mudbrick homes. It brushes against doorways left partially open to welcome the night air. It slips across rooftops where a few families still sit quietly beneath the stars. The village has grown calmer. Many evening conversations have ended. Many meals have been finished. Many workers have stretched tired backs and settled into more comfortable positions. The long day is finally behind them. Near one doorway, a small oil lamp flickers. Its flame is tiny. Yet it creates a circle of warm light around itself. The flame dances whenever the breeze reaches it. The shadows on the wall shift gently. Then settle again. Inside the home, the youngest children are already asleep. The day's activity has completely exhausted them. One child rests with an arm stretched across a woven mat. Another curls beneath a light linen covering. Their breathing is slow and peaceful. They know nothing of tomorrow's work. Nothing of future responsibilities. For now, they belong entirely to sleep. Their parents remain awake a little longer. The father sits near the entrance. The mother finishes arranging a few clay bowls. Neither speaks very much. Words feel unnecessary. The quiet itself feels comforting. Outside, the village seems to breathe slowly. The sounds are small. A distant cough. The shuffle of sandals. The quiet call of a night bird. Then silence again. Across the settlement, other families experience similar moments. A fisherman sits outside his home. The river lies only a short distance away. Even now he can hear faint sounds of water moving through darkness. The sound has accompanied him for most of his life. As a child he heard it. As a young man he heard it. Now, after another long day on the Nile, he hears it once more. The river never truly leaves him. It remains a constant presence. Its rhythm becomes part of his own rhythm. The fisherman closes his eyes. The wind brushes against his face. The scent of water mixes with the scent of dust and dry earth. It is a familiar combination. A scent belonging entirely to this place. A scent belonging entirely to life beside the Nile. Not far away, a donkey shifts quietly beside a wall. The animal spent much of the day carrying supplies. Now it rests. Its work is done. The village depends upon such animals. They transport grain. They carry water. They move goods from one place to another. Like the people around them, they follow daily routines shaped by necessity. Tonight, however, there are no loads to carry. Only rest. The stars continue their slow movement overhead. Ancient Egyptians often spent considerable time observing the night sky. Without bright artificial light, the heavens appeared incredibly clear. The stars stretched from horizon to horizon. Some seemed fixed. Others slowly changed position throughout the seasons. Many people became deeply familiar with these patterns. Not through formal study. Simply through observation. Night after night. Year after year. A farmer returning home after work notices the same stars his grandfather once noticed. A fisherman rowing before dawn sees the same constellations his father once followed. The sky creates a quiet connection between generations. The grandmother sitting near her doorway gazes upward. Her eyes move across familiar groups of stars. She remembers nights from long ago. Nights from childhood. Nights from adulthood. Nights spent comforting children. Nights spent waiting for family members to return home. Nights spent simply listening to the wind. The memories arrive softly. Not all at once. Just small fragments drifting through her thoughts. A voice long gone. A face remembered. A conversation beneath the stars. The night has a way of inviting reflection. Perhaps because everything else becomes quieter. Perhaps because the darkness removes distractions. Perhaps because the wind carries old memories alongside the dust. Whatever the reason, the grandmother sits peacefully and remembers. Meanwhile, in another part of the village, a scribe remains awake. His work often differs from the work of laborers and farmers. His hands carry fewer calluses. His back experiences different forms of strain. Much of his day involves writing, recording information, maintaining records, copying texts. Careful work requiring concentration. Tonight he reviews a few notes by lamplight. The flame flickers gently beside him. His reed pen rests nearby. The quiet helps him focus. Eventually, however, even he grows tired. The day has been long. His eyes become heavy. The notes can wait until tomorrow. He extinguishes the lamp. Darkness immediately fills the room. Sleep soon follows. Throughout the village, one by one, lamps disappear. Each extinguished flame allows darkness to expand a little farther. Soon only a few remain. Tiny islands of light floating within the night. Then those disappear as well. Most people are asleep now. The streets have become nearly empty. The workshops stand silent. The ovens cool slowly. The storage buildings rest undisturbed. Even the animals grow quieter. The village enters its deepest period of rest. The desert wind continues alone. It passes through empty paths. It moves over sleeping rooftops. It circles silent walls. Its journey never seems hurried. The wind has nowhere it must be. Nothing it must accomplish. It simply moves. Steady. Patient. Endless. Beyond the village, the Nile reflects moonlight. The river appears almost silver. Gentle ripples disturb the reflection from time to time. Otherwise the surface remains calm. Along the shoreline, reeds sway quietly. The movement creates a faint rustling sound. Soft enough to blend with the breeze. Soft enough to become part of the night's background music. A fishing boat rests securely against the bank. Its ropes creak occasionally. Wood shifts softly. Tiny sounds that become noticeable only because everything else is so quiet. The boat waits for morning. The fishermen wait for morning. The entire village waits for morning. But morning remains far away. For now there is only darkness. Only stars. Only wind. Only the steady presence of the Nile. Hours pass. The moon climbs higher. Then slowly begins descending again. The air becomes cooler. The desert wind carries less warmth than before. The mud brick walls release heat stored during the day. The village settles deeper into stillness. A guard watching over stored grain shifts his position. His responsibility continues while others sleep. The work requires patience. Most nights pass without incident. Tonight appears no different. He watches shadows. He listens to distant sounds. He observes the stars. The hours move slowly. Yet there is peace in the quiet. The guard knows every corner of the village. Every building. Every pathway. Every familiar sound. Nothing feels threatening. Nothing feels urgent. Only calm. Only waiting. Far beyond the cultivated fields, the desert stretches beneath moonlight. The landscape appears almost endless. Dunes rise and fall like frozen waves. Rock formations cast long shadows. The silence feels complete. Very few people travel through such places at night. Most remain close to water, shelter, and community. The desert belongs to another rhythm entirely. Yet even there, the wind continues. Always moving. Always shaping the land grain by grain. The same wind eventually reaches the villages. The same wind touches the river. The same wind brushes against sleeping homes. Back in the village, the grandmother finally lies down upon her woven mat. Her eyes close. The sounds of the night remain faintly audible. The breeze. The distant river. The occasional rustle of reeds. These sounds feel familiar enough to be comforting. They have accompanied countless nights. Soon even those sounds begin fading into dreams. The village sleeps. The Nile flows. The stars shine. And the desert wind continues wandering through the ancient darkness, carrying the peaceful silence of Egypt across another quiet night beside the river. The deepest hours of the night have arrived. This is the time when the village feels most still. The conversations of the evening have long since faded. The lamps have gone dark. The ovens have cooled. The busy sounds of labor and movement belong to another part of the day. Now there is only quiet. A vast, gentle quiet. The stars continue their slow journey across the sky. Some shine brightly above the Nile. Others hang low near the horizon. Together they form a silent canopy stretching over the river, the fields, the village, and the distant desert beyond. Most people remain asleep. Their breathing rises and falls softly within mud brick homes. Dreams drift through dark rooms. The day's worries have loosened their hold. The fields can wait. The boats can wait. The workshops can wait. Everything can wait until morning. Outside, the desert wind moves carefully through the empty streets. It slips around corners. It brushes against closed doors. It stirs tiny patterns in the dust. Nothing resists its passage. The village rests. The wind wanders. Far beyond the final house, the cultivated land gives way to open ground. The fields become fewer. The darkness grows wider. The desert begins. Even beneath moonlight, its presence feels immense. Ancient Egyptians knew this contrast well. The green world of the Nile existed beside a land of stone and sand. One offered water and life. The other offered silence and distance. Yet both shaped daily life. Both belong to the same landscape. The wind crosses between them effortlessly. Tonight it carries the coolness of late night. The air feels fresh. Comfortable. A welcome change after the heat of the previous afternoon. Near the riverbank, reeds sway gently. Their soft rustling blends with the faint sound of moving water. The Nile never stops. Day or night. Season after season. Generation after generation. Its waters continue onward. Countless people have fallen asleep beside this river. Countless people have awakened beside it. The river remembers none of them. Yet it supported them all. A fisherman sleeping near the shoreline turns slightly upon his mat. Even in sleep, years of habit remain. His body has learned the rhythm of the river. Before dawn he will wake. Before dawn he will return to the water. But not yet. There is still time for rest. Nearby, his fishing net hangs quietly. Carefully repaired. Ready for another day. The moonlight touches its woven strands. The shadows beneath it remain dark and still. Across the village, a potter sleeps deeply. Tomorrow more clay will pass through his hands. Tomorrow more bowls and jars will take shape. The work will be familiar. Perhaps even predictable. Yet there is comfort in familiarity. Comfort in knowing what the day will bring. The potter has followed this rhythm for years. His father followed it before him. Others likely will follow it after him. The wheel turns. The clay changes shape. The vessels dry beneath the sun. The cycle continues. The village itself seems to breathe slowly during these hours. The night air moves through narrow alleys. The walls release the last traces of warmth gathered during daylight. The ground feels cool beneath bare feet. If someone were walking through the streets now, they would hear very little. Perhaps the distant call of a bird. Perhaps the creak of a rope beside the river. Perhaps the whisper of wind moving across a rooftop. Nothing more. The silence feels peaceful rather than empty. A grandmother sleeping near an open doorway dreams quietly. Her life has been long. Long enough to witness countless harvests. Long enough to watch children grow into adults. Long enough to sit beneath thousands of evenings beside the Nile. The sounds surrounding her are familiar. The wind. The river. The night. They have remained steady companions through the passing years. The village guard continues his watch. His eyes scan the darkness. Not because danger seems likely. Simply because responsibility requires attention. Most nights pass peacefully. Tonight appears no different. He notices the stars. He notices the breeze. He notices how calm everything feels. Sometimes the quietest moments reveal the most about a place. Without noise and activity, the true rhythm becomes easier to sense. The village is not defined only by work. It is also defined by rest. By pauses. By moments when nothing needs to happen. The guard leans slightly against a wall. The cool mud brick feels pleasant against his shoulder. The hours move slowly. He does not mind. Farther away, along another section of the Nile, a boat drifts gently against its mooring rope. The movement is almost invisible. A small rise. A small fall. Again and again. The river carries the boat lightly. The moon reflects from the water around it. Silver ripples spread outward. Then disappear. The scene is simple. Yet it contains a kind of quiet beauty. No audience watches. No one records the moment. It simply exists. Ancient life contains countless moments like this. Small moments. Unnoticed moments. Peaceful moments. Moments that belong only to the night. The stars continue shifting. Slowly. Almost imperceptibly. Time moves forward even when nothing seems to change. Eventually, the darkest portion of the night begins to soften. The change is subtle. So subtle that no one notices at first. The horizon remains dark. The village remains asleep. Yet somewhere beyond the edge of the world, morning has already begun its approach. The moon sinks lower. A faint difference appears in the eastern sky. Not light exactly. Just a slightly gentler darkness. The Nile reflects this change before the land does. The water catches the earliest hints of approaching dawn. The river seems aware of morning before anyone else. A few birds begin stirring among the reeds. Not singing yet. Only shifting. Only waking. The village still sleeps. But not as deeply as before. The long night is beginning to loosen its hold. The guard notices the change. Years of experience have trained him to recognize these small signals. The air feels different. The sky feels different. The world feels as though it is preparing to inhale. Soon the first workers will rise. Soon doors will open. Soon sandals will touch dusty roads. Soon cooking fires will return. But those sounds remain in the future. For now there is only anticipation. Only the quiet space between night and morning. The desert wind continues moving. Its journey has carried it across dunes, across fields, across rooftops, across sleeping homes. Now it drifts gently toward the river once more. Its touch remains cool. Its movement remains soft. The breeze stirs the surface of the Nile. Tiny ripples appear. The water responds without resistance. Everything feels calm. Everything feels patient. The eastern horizon slowly brightens. Still faint. Still distant. Yet undeniable. Another day is approaching. Another ordinary day beside the Nile. Another day of bread baking in warm ovens. Another day of farmers tending crops. Another day of fishermen rowing through quiet waters. Another day of potters shaping clay. Another day of merchants walking dusty roads. The ancient rhythm continues. As it has for generations. As it will for generations more. And while the village rests in the final moments before dawn, the stars gradually fade, the river continues flowing, and the desert wind carries the last peaceful silence of night across the sleeping land of Egypt. The first moments of dawn arrive so quietly that most of the village does not notice them. The stars are still visible. The moon still hangs above the western horizon. The streets remain empty. Yet the darkness has begun to change. The eastern sky carries a faint gray glow. It rests low above the horizon, delicate and soft. The change is gradual. Night does not leave all at once. It slowly releases its hold on the land. The Nile notices first. The surface of the river begins reflecting the pale colors of approaching morning. Silver becomes gray. Gray becomes faint blue. The water continues its endless journey, carrying the first light of a new day along its surface. A cool breeze moves across the riverbank. The desert wind has become gentler now. It no longer feels like a traveler crossing the night. Instead it feels like a companion welcoming the morning. Among the reeds, birds begin to stir. Tiny movements break the stillness. A feather shifts. A head lifts. A wing stretches. Soon the first calls drift softly into the air. The sounds are small. Yet they seem loud after so many hours of silence. The village remains asleep. But not for much longer. Inside the mud-brick homes, people rest in the final moments before waking. The grandmother lies quietly upon her woven mat. Her breathing remains slow. Yet somewhere within her mind, sleep is already becoming lighter. Years of routine have taught her body the rhythm of dawn. She has awakened before sunrise thousands of times. Even now, long before anyone calls her name, she is slowly approaching wakefulness. Outside, the sky brightens a little more. The stars nearest the horizon begin to disappear. The brightest stars remain visible overhead, but their light is fading. Morning approaches with patience. There is no hurry. There never is. Near the riverbank, a fisherman opens his eyes. For a moment he remains still. He listens. The sound of water reaches him. The sound of birds follows. The cool air brushes gently across his face. These are familiar signals. The day is beginning. He sits up slowly. His muscles feel stiff from yesterday's labor. His shoulders carry the memory of rowing. His hands remain rough from rope and net. Yet this sensation feels ordinary. Almost comforting. Work has shaped his body over many years. The aches belong to his life. The fisherman rises and steps outside. The village remains mostly dark. A few faint lights appear in distant homes. Others will wake soon. For now he enjoys a brief moment of solitude. The river lies before him. Calm. Steady. Patient. A thin mist hovers above portions of the water. The sight feels peaceful. He takes a deep breath. The cool air fills his lungs. Soon the heat of the day will return. But not yet. These early hours belong to comfort. Nearby, another fisherman emerges from his home. The two exchange a quiet greeting. Neither speaks much. Morning words often feel unnecessary. The silence itself feels pleasant. Together they begin preparing their equipment. Nets are inspected. Ropes are checked. Simple routines repeated countless times before. The work begins before the sun appears. Across the village, a baker is already awake. His day always starts early. The ovens must be prepared. The dough must be mixed. The bread must be ready before much of the village begins its work. Inside the bakery, darkness still lingers. A small flame appears. Then another. Soon the ovens glow softly. Warm light dances across the walls. The baker moves through familiar motions. His hands know exactly what to do. Years of practice guide every action. Flour. Water. Mixing. Kneading. Waiting. Simple steps repeated day after day. Outside, the first hint of gold appears along the horizon. The sky brightens further. Blue slowly replaces gray. The shapes of trees become clearer. The outlines of distant fields emerge from darkness. A donkey lifts its head. Animals often sense morning before people do. The village is waking. Slowly. Naturally. Without alarm or urgency. The grandmother opens her eyes. For a few moments she remains lying still. She listens. The sounds of dawn surround her. Birds. Wind. A distant voice. The faint crackle of an early fire. She smiles softly. Another day has arrived. Another ordinary day beside the Nile. She sits up carefully. Age has made every movement slower. Yet she feels grateful for the morning. Many mornings have passed through her life. Each one different. each one familiar. The cool air drifts through the doorway. She welcomes it. Soon enough the sun will warm everything. For now, the village enjoys the final moments of freshness. Children remain asleep. Their responsibilities have not yet begun. Their dreams still hold them. But even they will awaken soon. The rhythm of the community reaches everyone eventually. Outside, more doors begin opening. Workers emerge into the growing light. Some stretch tired muscles. Others head immediately toward their tasks. A woman lifts a clay jar and prepares to collect water. A farmer gathers tools. A merchant organizes goods for the day ahead. Life returns piece by piece. The village breathes itself awake. The eastern horizon glows brighter now. Gold spreads across the landscape. The first rays of sunlight touch the tops of palm trees. Leaves shimmer gently. The river catches the light and transforms. The surface sparkles. Tiny reflections dance across the moving water. Morning has arrived. The stars fade almost completely. Only a few remain visible. Then they too disappear. The night has ended. Yet traces of its peace remain. The calm silence. The cool breeze. The memory of the desert wind moving through sleeping streets. These things linger for a little while longer. Farmers begin walking toward the fields. Their sandals leave familiar tracks in the dust. The path feels well known. Many have walked it since childhood. Many will walk it again tomorrow. The routines of life continue. Along the shoreline, fishermen push their boats into the water. Wood creaks softly. Oars settle into place. The river welcomes them back. A gentle splash echoes across the morning air. The boats move away from shore. Slowly at first. Then steadily. The Nile carries them forward. Nearby, birds circle above the water. The day feels fresh. Full of possibility. Not because something extraordinary might happen. But because ordinary life itself continues. Bread will be baked. Fields will be tended. Clay will be shaped. Fish will be caught. Children will learn. Families will gather. Another chapter of daily existence begins. The grandmother steps outside her home and watches the sun rise. Warm light touches the mud brick walls. The village glows softly beneath the new day. She feels the breeze upon her face one last time before the sun grows stronger. The desert wind is already changing. The coolness of night is fading. Soon warmth will replace it. Soon the busy sounds of work will fill the air. But in this brief moment, between night and day, everything feels perfectly balanced. The river flows. The birds sing. The sky brightens. The village awakens. And beneath the gentle light of dawn, another peaceful day begins beside the timeless waters of the Nile. The coolness of dawn remains over the Nile Valley for a little while longer. The sun has risen above the horizon, but its warmth is still gentle. Golden light spreads across the fields. The tops of palm trees glow softly. Mud brick walls catch the morning sun and seem almost golden themselves. The village is fully awake now. Not crowded. Not noisy. Simply alive. Doors stand open. People move along familiar paths. The ordinary work of another day has begun. A farmer walks toward his field carrying a wooden tool across one shoulder. His sandals leave faint marks in the dust behind him. The road is well known. He has traveled this path so many times that he could almost walk it without thinking. Beside him, another farmer follows. They exchange a few quiet words. Nothing urgent. Nothing dramatic. Just the simple conversation of people beginning their day together. Ahead of them, the fields wait beneath the morning light. Tiny droplets of moisture cling to some plants. The air still feels fresh. For a little while, working outdoors remains pleasant. The farmers know this will not last. By midday, the sun will once again dominate the sky. But there is no reason to think about that yet. The morning belongs to itself. Near the river, the fishermen continue their journey. Their boats glide across calm water. Oars dip into the Nile with a steady rhythm. Splash. Lift. Splash. Lift. The sound repeats again and again. It blends with the gentle movement of the river. The fishermen have little need for conversation. Each knows his task. Each understands the routine. The silence feels natural. One man pauses briefly and looks toward the shore. The village appears peaceful in the distance. Thin trails of smoke rise from cooking fires. People move through the streets like small figures beneath the growing sunlight. The sight feels familiar. Comforting. The Nile reflects everything. The sky. The boats. The trees. The light itself. Farther inland, the bakers' ovens are already busy. Warm bread emerges one loaf at a time. The smell spreads through nearby streets. Many people notice it as they pass. The scent feels welcoming. It signals the beginning of the day. Inside the bakery, the heat from the ovens grows stronger. The baker wipes flour from his hands. His work is demanding. Yet there is satisfaction in knowing that much of the village will eat bread he prepared. The loaves will appear in homes throughout the settlement. Families will gather around them. Workers will carry them into the fields. Children will tear pieces from them during meals. The baker rarely sees these moments. Yet his work becomes part of them. Across the village, a woman kneels beside a grinding stone. Morning sunlight reaches the doorway beside her. The light forms a bright rectangle upon the floor. Dust drifts slowly through the beam. The scene feels calm. The woman begins her task. The stone moves steadily. Back and forth. Back and forth. The motion is familiar. The sound is familiar. Generations of women have performed the same work. Grain becomes flour. Flour becomes dough. Dough becomes bread. The cycle continues. Nearby, a child watches for a few moments. Then wanders outside. The village offers many small things to observe. A donkey carrying baskets. A merchant arranging goods. A cat resting in the sunlight. Even ordinary sights can seem interesting through the eyes of a child. The streets continue filling with activity. Not hurried activity. Steady activity. The pace of life beside the Nile rarely feels rushed. Tasks require effort, but they unfold gradually. The day stretches ahead. There is time. A potter opens his workshop. Morning light spills across rows of drying vessels. He examines them carefully. A crack in the wrong place could ruin hours of labor. Fortunately, most appear strong. He nods with quiet satisfaction. Then he begins preparing fresh clay. The earth feels cool beneath his fingers. Soon the wheel will begin turning. Soon another series of bowls and jars will emerge from simple lumps of clay. Transformation through patience. That is much of what ancient work involves. Patience. A farmer cannot hurry crops. A potter cannot rush drying clay. A fisherman cannot force fish into his net. Time remains an important partner in every task. Near the center of the village, merchants begin displaying goods. Baskets are opened. Bundles are arranged. Items are placed where others can see them. The morning market is modest. Nothing extravagant. Yet it serves an important purpose. People gather. News is exchanged. Goods change hands. Relationships are strengthened. A merchant greets a familiar customer. Both smile. They have known one another for years. Such connections form the foundation of village life. People rarely live as strangers for long. The community is too connected. Everyone depends upon everyone else. A farmer depends upon the toolmaker. The toolmaker depends upon the merchant. The merchant depends upon the boatman. The boatman depends upon the fisherman. The web of daily life links them together. The grandmother sits once again near her doorway. The morning sun feels pleasant against her skin. Not too hot. Not too cool. Just comfortable. She watches the village as she has done countless times before. Observation has become one of her favorite activities. There is always something to notice. A young child chasing a chicken through the dust. A neighbor repairing a broken basket. A merchant leading a donkey through the street. Small moments. Ordinary moments. Yet they create the texture of daily life. The grandmother notices how the sunlight changes as the morning progresses. The shadows grow shorter. The brightness increases. The day slowly unfolds before her eyes. Nearby, two builders prepare materials for a repair project. The wall of a storage building needs attention. The work begins with mud. Water is added carefully. Straw is mixed in. Hands knead the material until it reaches the proper consistency. The process is messy. Simple. Effective. The builders work without complaint. They know the routine. They know the materials. Mud bricks have shaped their world for generations. The same earth beneath their feet becomes the walls around them. The connection feels natural. The Nile itself continues flowing beside all this activity. The river never pauses. It never hurries. Its steady movement seems to influence the rhythm of the entire valley. People rise. People work. People rest. The river flows through it all. A fisherman casts a net into the water. The movement is smooth and practiced. The net spreads outward like a circle before settling. Tiny ripples spread across the surface. Then the river becomes calm again. The fisherman waits. Patience once more. Patience appears everywhere. In fields. In workshops. On boats. In homes. The ancient world often moves at the speed of patience. The sun climbs higher. The coolness of dawn begins fading. People notice the change. Not yet uncomfortable. Just warmer. A reminder of what awaits later. For now, work continues. The baker prepares another batch. The farmers tend crops. The potter shapes clay. The merchants arrange goods. Children help where they can. The grandmother watches. The fishermen work the river. The village hums softly with life. Nothing extraordinary happens. No grand events interrupt the morning. Only ordinary people living ordinary lives. And perhaps that is what makes the scene so peaceful. The village does not seek excitement. It seeks stability. Food on the table. Water in the jars. Strong walls. Healthy crops. Safe journeys. Comfortable evenings. Simple hopes carried from one day to the next. Above them, the sky grows brighter. The Nile sparkles beneath the sunlight. The desert beyond the fields remains quiet and distant. And as the morning continues unfolding across the ancient land, the people of the village settle fully into another familiar day beside the river that has sustained them for generations. The morning continues its slow journey across the Nile Valley. The sun climbs steadily higher. Its golden light grows brighter with each passing hour. The cool freshness of dawn has mostly disappeared now. A gentle warmth settles over the fields, the roads, and the mud-brick homes. The village remains busy. People move through familiar routines. Tasks begun at sunrise continue unfolding one careful step at a time. Nothing feels rushed. The day is long. There is work enough for everyone. Along the edge of the fields, farmers bend over rows of growing crops. Their hands move steadily among green leaves and dark soil. Some clear unwanted plants from irrigation channels. Others inspect the health of young crops. Some carry baskets. Others carry tools worn smooth from years of use. The work demands attention. Small details matter. A damaged channel can waste precious water. A neglected field can reduce a future harvest. The farmers understand this well. Many learned these lessons as children. Many heard them from parents and grandparents while walking these same fields. Knowledge passes quietly from one generation to the next. Not through books. Not through grand speeches. But through observation. Through practice. Through daily life. The Nile glimmers nearby. Sunlight scatters across its surface like thousands of tiny sparks. The river appears calm this morning. Small waves roll gently toward the shore. Birds move among the reeds. The occasional splash breaks the silence. Otherwise, the water seems content to continue its endless journey. Several fishing boats drift farther downstream. The fishermen remain focused on their work. The river requires patience and observation. A sudden movement beneath the surface. A change in current. The behavior of birds overhead. Every detail provides information. The fishermen have learned to notice these things. Years spent beside the Nile have sharpened their awareness. One older fisherman pauses and gazes toward the distant shoreline. The sight feels familiar. Fields. Palm trees. Mud brick buildings. Small paths winding through cultivated land. The landscape has changed little throughout his lifetime. Perhaps that is why it feels comforting. There is reassurance in familiar places. Back in the village, the potter's wheel turns steadily. Round and round. The motion remains almost hypnotic. His hands guide a fresh piece of clay. At first it seems shapeless. A simple mound of earth mixed with water. Then the fingers begin their work. Pressure is applied carefully. The clay rises. The walls grow thinner. A form appears. Slowly. Patiently. The vessel seems to emerge from nowhere. Yet every movement contributes. Every adjustment matters. The potter works quietly. The wheel hums softly beneath his hands. Outside, sunlight spills through the doorway. Dust drifts lazily through the air. The workshop feels peaceful despite the labor taking place inside. Nearby, a carpenter works beneath a shaded area beside a building. Pieces of wood lie arranged beside him. His tools show signs of long use. The handles are smooth. The edges are worn. Years of work have left their mark. The carpenter examines a wooden chest. One hinge requires repair. The task is not difficult, but it requires care. Many possessions in ancient Egypt remain useful for years because people maintain them. Repair becomes a regular part of life. Nothing is discarded lightly. Materials require effort to obtain. Labor requires time. Every object holds value. The carpenter begins his work. Tiny wood shavings fall beside him. The scent of fresh cut wood mixes with the dry smell of dust carried by the breeze. The sounds are gentle. Scraping. Tapping. Adjusting. Nothing loud. Nothing sudden. The rhythm of work continues. Near the center of the village, merchants remain busy. Customers arrive gradually throughout the morning. Goods are examined. Prices are discussed. Small exchanges take place. A basket changes hands. A bundle of vegetables finds a new owner. A piece of cloth is carefully folded and carried away. The market feels alive. Yet the atmosphere remains relaxed. Many people know one another. Conversations wander beyond simple trade. News is shared. Questions are asked. Stories travel from household to household. The market serves as more than a place of exchange. It serves as a meeting place. A place where daily life becomes visible. The grandmother occasionally watches these interactions from her doorway. Her eyes move from one familiar face to another. She has known many of these people for years. Some she remembers as children. Others arrived through marriage or family connections. Time has woven countless relationships throughout the village. The community feels like a living tapestry. Each person connected to many others. The morning grows warmer. The shadows continue shrinking. The bright sun now dominates the sky. Workers notice the change. Foreheads become damp with sweat. Water jars become increasingly important. Brief pauses beneath trees become more welcome. Still, the work continues. A woman carrying water balances a clay jar upon her shoulder. Her steps are careful and steady. The path is familiar. She has walked it countless times. The jar feels heavy. Yet experience has taught her how to move efficiently. The task appears effortless from a distance. In truth, it requires strength and balance. Many ordinary responsibilities demand skill. They simply become invisible through repetition. Children help where they can. A young boy carries a smaller container behind her. His steps are less confident. Occasionally he glances downward to avoid stumbling. The responsibility makes him feel important. One day he will carry larger loads. For now, he contributes in smaller ways. Learning begins early. Not through formal lessons alone, but through participation. Children watch. Children imitate. Children gradually assume greater responsibilities. The village teaches them through everyday life. Farther away, builders continue repairing a storage structure. Mud and straw are mixed carefully. Fresh bricks wait nearby. The workers spread material across damaged sections of wall. The process requires patience. Layer by layer. Section by section. The repair progresses. The building slowly regains its strength. The sun reflects brightly from the pale surface. The workers squint occasionally. The light has become intense now. Midday approaches. Across the Nile Valley, the character of the day begins changing. The comfortable warmth of early morning gives way to stronger heat. The air feels heavier. The ground grows hotter beneath sandals. Bird activity decreases. Even animals seek shade. A donkey settles beside a wall. A dog stretches beneath a palm tree. The natural world adapts alongside the people. Everyone understands the rhythm. Work continues. But energy must be managed carefully. The baker pauses briefly beside a water jar. The potter wipes sweat from his forehead. The carpenter stretches stiff shoulders. Small moments of relief become valuable. Yet no one seems surprised. This is simply part of life. The heat arrives every day. The people have learned to live with it. The Nile remains one of the few places where coolness lingers. Its water reflects the sunlight brilliantly. A fisherman dips his hand into the river. The sensation feels refreshing. For a moment he enjoys the contrast. Then he returns to his work. Around him, the river continues flowing. Unconcerned by the heat. Unconcerned by human schedules. The same steady current moves through every season. The same water supports every village along its path. The sun climbs higher still. The morning is nearly gone. The hottest hours of the day draw closer. Yet before that heat fully settles across the valley, the village continues its patient labor. Farmers work among crops. Merchants greet customers. Potters shape clay. Carpenters repair wood. Builders strengthen walls. Children learn their roles. The grandmother watches the world unfold from her doorway. The Nile flows quietly beside them all. And above the ancient land, the bright Egyptian sun continues its slow climb toward midday, while another ordinary morning gently transforms into afternoon. The sun now stands high above the Nile Valley. The morning has completely disappeared. The soft light of dawn feels far away. In its place is the intense brightness of midday. The sky appears almost endless. There are few clouds. The sunlight falls across the fields, the river, and the village walls with quiet strength. The heat settles over everything. Dusty roads become bright and pale. Stone surfaces grow warm. Mud brick walls hold the day's heat within them. The village continues, but the rhythm changes. People slow their movements. They conserve their strength. The hottest hours ask for patience. A farmer stands beside his field and looks toward the small area of shade created by a nearby tree. He knows this moment well. The sun will remain powerful for several more hours. A short rest is not a sign of weakness. It is part of surviving within the landscape. He walks toward the shade. Several other workers have done the same. They sit together quietly. Some drink water. Some simply rest. The conversations are soft. The energy saved now will help them continue later. The shade feels like a small gift. A cool corner within a very bright world. The farmer looks back toward the fields. The crops move slightly in the breeze. The irrigation channels continue carrying water. Even during the hottest part of the day, life continues growing. The Nile provides. The farmers care. The cycle continues. Nearby, fishermen returning from the river pull their boats toward the shore. The wood feels warm beneath their hands. Their faces show the effort of the morning. The river has given them another day of work. They carry their equipment carefully. Nets are gathered. Ropes are placed in order. Nothing is left carelessly. Tools are valuable. They represent time and effort. A fisherman sits near the water for a moment. The river moves beside him. The contrast is comforting. The air is hot. The water is cool. The sun is strong. The river remains calm. He dips his fingers into the Nile. The small moment of relief feels meaningful. Across the village, many workshops become quieter. The potter still works, but at a slower pace. The clay feels different in the heat. It dries more quickly. Care is needed. The potter covers some pieces to protect them. He knows the behavior of his materials. Years of experience have taught him. The relationship between worker and material is built through repetition. The clay, the wood, the stone, the grain, the river. Everything requires understanding. Nothing is truly separate from the environment. Inside the bakery, the air is even warmer. The ovens have been active since early morning. The baker's work creates a different kind of heat. He moves carefully between the oven and preparation area. The smell of bread remains comforting. Even in the warmth, it represents home. Food. Family. Daily life. The baker pauses when possible. He wipes his hands. He drinks water. Then he continues. Many people depend upon his work. A simple loaf of bread connects many parts of the village. Farmers grew the grain. Workers processed it. The baker prepared it. Families eat it together. One ordinary piece of bread carries the effort of many hands. In another home, a mother prepares a midday meal. The room is shaded. The walls provide some protection from the sun. She works near a small opening where air can move through. The kitchen area contains simple tools. Clay pots. Stone surfaces. Wooden utensils. Nothing unnecessary. Everything useful. She prepares food slowly. The heat makes every movement feel more difficult. Yet the routine is familiar. She has done this many times. The smell of cooking spreads through the house. Soon family members will return. Soon they will sit together. Soon the hottest hours will pass. Outside, the streets become quieter. Many people avoid unnecessary travel during this time. The village seems to rest while still being awake. A few workers continue. Others wait. The animals understand the rhythm. A donkey stands beneath shade. Cats sleep on cool surfaces. Birds become less active. Even nature appears to slow. The desert wind moves differently now. During the morning it carried freshness. During the afternoon it carries warmth. It passes over dry land before reaching the village. The breeze is gentle, but it carries the memory of the desert. The vast empty spaces beyond the fields. The silent dunes. The endless horizon. The village exists because of the river. Yet the desert is always nearby. It surrounds the green valley like a quiet reminder. Near the edge of the settlement, a group of laborers work on a larger building project. Their task is physically demanding. They lift materials. They arrange stones. They prepare surfaces. The work requires teamwork. One person alone cannot complete it. Many hands move together. The rhythm becomes almost like a slow dance. Lift. Carry. Place. Adjust. Rest. Repeat. The workers know the value of cooperation. The building grows through shared effort. Their names may never be remembered. But their work becomes part of the landscape. Walls they help create may remain long after their own days have passed. The afternoon continues. The sun does not hurry. Time feels stretched beneath the heat. A young worker sits against a wall during a short break. His eyes close. Not sleeping. Just resting. The sound of the village surrounds him. A distant voice. The movement of wind. The faint sound of the river. These simple sounds create a feeling of peace. Even exhaustion can have quiet moments. The body asks for rest. The mind becomes still. The worker breathes slowly. He watches a small cloudless sky above him. For a few moments, there is nothing else to do. The grandmother remains near her doorway. She understands these hours. She remembers being younger. She remembers carrying water, working longer days, feeling the weight of responsibilities. Now she watches others continue those routines. Time has changed her role. She no longer carries the same burdens. Instead, she carries memories. She watches the younger generation repeat familiar patterns. The same roads. The same tasks. The same relationship with the river and the land. She sees continuity. The afternoon slowly moves forward. The strongest heat begins to feel slightly less overwhelming. Not much, but enough to notice. Shadows slowly begin changing direction. The sun starts its long journey toward the horizon. People begin preparing to return to their tasks more fully. The farmers rise from shade. The fishermen organize their equipment. The workshops become active again. The day is not finished. There is still work remaining. But the hardest part has passed. The Nile continues flowing. The desert remains quiet. The village begins moving once more. And as the afternoon slowly leans toward evening, the same ancient rhythm returns again. Work. Rest. Patience. The simple cycle of life beside the river. The afternoon slowly begins to soften. The change arrives quietly. At first, almost nobody notices it. The sun still shines brightly. The air remains warm. The dusty roads still hold the heat gathered throughout the day. Yet something is different. The harsh edge of midday is fading. The shadows begin to lengthen once more. The light becomes gentler. The village seems to take a slow breath. Workers feel the change before they see it. A farmer standing among rows of crops notices that the air feels slightly easier to bear. The heat no longer presses against him quite as heavily. His shoulders relax. His movements become a little lighter. The hardest hours have passed. The knowledge alone brings comfort. He continues tending the field. The irrigation channels still carry water beside him. Small reflections shimmer across the surface. The Nile continues feeding the land as it has for countless generations. Nearby, another farmer adjusts a simple tool and continues his work. Neither man speaks much. The sounds of the field are enough. The rustle of leaves. The movement of water. The distant calls of birds returning to activity. The afternoon unfolds peacefully around them. Along the riverbank, fishermen continue their routines. Some boats remain on the water. Others have returned to shore. A fisherman sits beside a net spread across the ground. A small section requires repair. His fingers move carefully. Thread passes through rope. Knot follows knot. The work is repetitive. Yet there is something soothing about repetition. The mind settles. The hands know what to do. The river provides a gentle soundtrack nearby. The fisherman works without hurry. There is time. There is always time for careful work. A sudden mistake often creates more labor later. Patience remains valuable. Across the village, workshops gradually become more active again. The potter shapes another vessel. The carpenter returns to a repair left unfinished during the hottest part of the day. The builder examines fresh sections of wall. Everyone resumes their responsibilities. The pace remains steady. The village has learned to move with the rhythm of the climate rather than against it. Inside a shaded home, a mother finishes preparing food for later in the evening. The smell drifts softly through the doorway. The room feels cooler now. A faint breeze enters through a small opening. She pauses for a moment and listens. Outside she hears the sounds of ordinary life. Footsteps. Voices. A donkey passing along the road. Children talking nearby. Nothing unusual. Nothing dramatic. Only the familiar heartbeat of the community. The grandmother sits beside the doorway once more. This position offers both shade and a view of the village. She enjoys watching the afternoon change into evening. It has always been one of her favorite times of day. Morning carries responsibility. Midday carries effort. Evening carries relief. The grandmother watches as children move through the streets. Some help with chores. Others carry small containers. A few pause to talk before continuing on their way. Their energy seems endless. Their lives stretch before them. The grandmother smiles softly. She remembers those years. She remembers running through dusty paths. She remembers carrying water for the first time. She remembers learning responsibilities little by little. Time passes quickly. Yet somehow it also feels endless. The village itself seems unchanged. Generation follows generation. The roads remain. The river remains. The wind remains. A merchant returns from a nearby settlement. Dust covers his sandals. His journey has been long. The afternoon sun followed him for many hours. Now, as he approaches home, he feels relief. The familiar buildings appear ahead. The familiar people greet him. The familiar smells drift through the air. Travel may be necessary, but home offers comfort. The merchant slows his pace slightly. There is no need to hurry now. He has arrived. Near the center of the village, a group of workers gather briefly beneath a tree. They share water. They exchange a few words. Some discuss crops. Others discuss repairs. The conversations remain simple. Most people spend little time discussing grand events. Their thoughts remain focused on daily life. The next harvest. The condition of a tool. The health of an animal. The repair of a roof. These practical concerns shape ordinary existence. The workers eventually return to their tasks. The village continues moving. The afternoon light changes steadily. The brilliant white glow of midday begins turning golden. Walls seem warmer in color. Palm leaves catch the sunlight differently. The entire landscape appears softer. Along the Nile, birds become more active. Several fly low above the water. Their reflections flicker briefly on the surface before disappearing. The river itself seems calmer somehow, though in truth it remains much the same. Perhaps it is simply the changing light. Perhaps evening encourages a different way of seeing. The fishermen notice these things. Years beside the river have taught them to observe small details. The color of the sky. The movement of birds. The feel of the wind. Every part of the landscape offers information. One older fisherman stands quietly beside his boat. For a moment he does nothing. He simply watches the water. The sight feels peaceful. The gentle current. The distant shoreline. The slowly lowering sun. There is comfort in stillness. Comfort in observation. The village does not demand constant movement. Sometimes simply sitting and watching is enough. Far beyond the cultivated fields, the desert remains silent. The great stretches of sand and stone rest beneath the afternoon sun. Few people travel there now. The heat remains strong. Yet as evening approaches, the desert too begins changing. Its warmth slowly releases into the air. Its silence deepens. The desert wind is preparing for another journey. Soon it will begin crossing the land. Soon it will move toward the villages beside the Nile. Soon it will slip through narrow streets and brush against mud-brick walls once more. The grandmother notices the first hint of that change. A cooler breeze touches her face. Very slight. Very gentle. Yet unmistakable. She closes her eyes for a moment. The sensation feels familiar. She has felt it thousands of times before. The arrival of evening. The promise of relief. The promise of rest. The promise of another quiet night. The shadows continue growing longer. Workers begin thinking about home. Farmers glance toward the village. Fishermen prepare to secure boats. Merchants organize their goods. The day is not yet finished. But its ending can now be seen. A feeling of calm anticipation spreads through the community. Soon cooking fires will glow. Soon families will gather. Soon conversations will drift through the evening air. Soon the stars will return. The Nile continues flowing through it all. Steady. Patient. Timeless. The same river that greeted the dawn now reflects the softer light of late afternoon. The same river that nourished crops and carried boats throughout the day now prepares to witness another peaceful evening. And as the golden sunlight stretches across the valley, the people of the village continue their work with quiet determination, knowing that rest waits just beyond the horizon, carried gently on the evening desert wind. The sun begins its slow descent toward the western horizon. Its bright white light softens into warm shades of gold. The fields glow beneath the evening sky. Palm trees cast long shadows across dusty paths. The Nile reflects the changing colors, turning from brilliant silver into a ribbon of liquid gold. Throughout the village, people notice the transformation. The day's labor is slowly coming to an end. Not suddenly. Not all at once. But little by little. A farmer standing beside his crops pauses and straightens his back. He looks toward the village in the distance. The roofs of mud-brick homes shine softly beneath the evening light. A faint breeze touches his face. The heat that ruled the afternoon is beginning to retreat. The farmer breathes deeply. The air feels lighter now. The hardest work of the day is behind him. The fields remain beautiful in the late sunlight. Rows of green plants stretch toward the river. The irrigation channels continue carrying water quietly between them. The sight brings a sense of satisfaction. The work was difficult. The work was tiring. Yet it was completed. Tomorrow there will be more to do. There always is. But tomorrow belongs to another day. Along the riverbank, fishermen guide their boats toward shore. The Nile glows beneath the setting sun. Each ripple catches the light. Each small wave seems painted with gold. The boats move slowly. There is no need for haste. The fishermen are tired. The river has carried them through another day. Their shoulders ache. Their hands feel rough from rope and net. Yet there is comfort in returning home. Comfort in familiar paths. Comfort in familiar faces waiting near the village. One fisherman pauses before stepping onto shore. For a moment he watches the water. The evening always feels different from the morning. The river remains the same. Yet the light changes everything. The atmosphere becomes softer. More reflective. More peaceful. He enjoys the moment briefly. Then he gathers his equipment and begins walking home. The village grows busier as workers return. Dust rises beneath sandals. Voices drift through the air. Children run along narrow paths. Some greet parents returning from the fields. Others help carry small bundles or baskets. The community slowly gathers itself together again after a long day spent in different places. The carpenter closes his workshop. He places his tools carefully where they belong. The familiar routine brings satisfaction. Tools cared for today will remain useful tomorrow. The simple act of putting things in order creates a sense of calm. The workshop falls silent. The day's work is complete. Nearby, the potter arranges newly shaped vessels. Rows of bowls and jars rest quietly beside one another. Tomorrow he will continue. Tomorrow fresh clay will spin upon the wheel. Tomorrow new vessels will emerge. But tonight they can wait. Everything can wait. The evening has arrived. The grandmother watches all of this from her doorway. The village changes character as the sun lowers. The urgency of work disappears. People begin moving more slowly. Conversations become longer. Faces seem more relaxed. Even the animals appear calmer. A donkey carrying supplies earlier in the day now stands quietly near a wall. A cat stretches lazily before settling onto a warm surface. The atmosphere feels different. Lighter. Gentler. The grandmother enjoys this part of the day more than any other. The village feels complete in the evening. Families return. Neighbors appear. The sounds of cooking begin. Life gathers itself together. From several homes, thin streams of smoke rise into the air. Cooking fires have been lit. The scent of food drifts through the village. Bread. Grain. Vegetables. Simple meals prepared with care. The smells mingle together. Warm and comforting. Many people notice them immediately. A laborer walking home catches the scent and smiles faintly. His stomach reminds him that he has worked all day. Soon he will eat. Soon he will rest. Soon he will sit beside family and leave the day's labor behind. The laborer continues down the dusty road. The sunlight turns everything around him golden. The walls. The trees. The distant river. Even the dust itself seems to glow. The beauty feels quiet. Unassuming. No one stops to admire it formally. Yet everyone experiences it. Evening wraps the village in warm light. Near the center of the settlement, neighbors gather briefly outside their homes. A few exchange greetings. A few share small pieces of news. The conversations remain simple. Someone discusses a repair completed earlier. Someone asks about a fishing trip. Someone mentions a relative from a nearby village. Ordinary topics fill the evening air. The simplicity feels comforting. There is no need for grand stories. Daily life provides enough. The desert wind begins to arrive. Very gently at first. A soft movement through palm leaves. A cool touch against warm skin. A faint stirring of dust along the roads. The change feels welcome. People notice immediately. After the heat of the afternoon, even a slight breeze feels refreshing. The wind has traveled far. Across open desert. Across silent stretches of sand. Across rocky ground touched by sunlight all day long. Now it reaches the villages beside the Nile. It slips through narrow streets. It moves across rooftops. It enters open doorways. The grandmother closes her eyes briefly. The breeze feels pleasant against her face. It carries memories. Memories of countless evenings. Countless sunsets. Countless nights spent listening to the same familiar sound. The wind has remained one of the few constants throughout her life. Generations have come and gone. The wind continues. Along the Nile, the sunlight grows deeper. Gold becomes orange. Orange slowly becomes amber. The river reflects every change. Birds return to resting places among reeds and trees. Their activity slows. The natural world prepares for night. The fishermen secure boats carefully. Ropes are checked. Equipment is stored. Tomorrow's preparations begin before tomorrow arrives. Routine creates stability. The fishermen understand this. Small efforts today prevent larger problems later. The same lesson appears throughout village life. The baker cleans his work area. The carpenter stores tools. The farmer checks equipment. The potter arranges clay. Everyone prepares. Everyone follows familiar habits. As the sun nears the horizon, the village glows with remarkable warmth. Long shadows stretch across the roads. The light touches the walls of homes and makes them seem almost alive. Children sit beside parents. Older relatives rest near doorways. Meals continue cooking. The scent of bread grows stronger. The evening feels full without feeling busy. A balance exists. Work has ended. Night has not yet arrived. This brief period belongs entirely to peace. The grandmother watches the sun touch the horizon. The moment feels familiar, yet never ordinary. The day's final light spreads across the Nile Valley. The river shines. The fields glow. The village rests within a sea of golden color. For a few moments, everything appears softer. Everything appears calmer. The desert wind continues moving through the streets. The air cools little by little. Workers settle into their homes. Families gather near cooking fires. The stars wait patiently beyond the fading sky. And as the final sunlight slowly sinks behind the western horizon, another beautiful Egyptian evening unfolds beside the timeless waters of the Nile. The sun slips below the horizon. Its final golden light lingers for a short while, painting the western sky with soft shades of amber and rose. The Nile reflects those colors for a few precious moments. Then, little by little, they begin to fade. Evening deepens across the valley. The heat of the day continues to drift away. A pleasant coolness settles over the village. The desert wind moves gently through the streets. It brushes against walls warmed by sunlight. It stirs loose dust along quiet paths. It passes through open doorways where families are gathering for the night. Throughout the village, cooking fires glow warmly. Their light flickers against mud brick walls. Thin streams of smoke drift upward into the darkening sky. The scent of evening meals fills the air. Fresh bread. Cooked vegetables. Simple foods prepared with care. After a long day of labor, these familiar smells feel especially comforting. A farmer returns home carrying his tools. His shoulders are tired. His hands are rough from work. Dust clings to his sandals. Yet as he approaches his doorway, a sense of relief settles over him. The day's responsibilities have ended. For now, there is nothing more to carry. Nothing more to repair. Nothing more to plant. The evening belongs to rest. Inside the home, family members are already gathered. A small oil lamp burns nearby. Its flame creates a circle of soft golden light. The shadows move gently whenever the breeze enters through the doorway. The room feels warm and welcoming. Simple. Quiet. Comfortable. The farmer sits down. The day's tension slowly leaves his body. Around him, familiar voices fill the room. Children speak about small events from earlier. A grandmother listens. A mother prepares the final details of the meal. No one speaks loudly. The atmosphere encourages calm. Outside, the village grows quieter. The busy sounds of work have disappeared completely. No tools strike wood. No builders move materials. No merchants arrange goods. Those sounds belong to daylight. Night brings different sounds. Softer sounds. Gentler sounds. A distant conversation. The rustling of palm leaves. The occasional call of a bird settling for sleep. And always, beneath everything else, the quiet whisper of the desert wind. Near the riverbank, several fishermen sit together after returning from the Nile. Their boats are secured. Their equipment has been stored. Now they rest. One man stretches tired arms. Another leans back and gazes toward the darkening sky. The river beside them reflects the final traces of twilight. Its surface appears calm, steady, timeless. The fishermen speak occasionally. Their words drift slowly through the evening air. No one feels rushed. The night is still young. There is time to sit quietly. Time to enjoy the cooler air. Time to let tired muscles recover. The Nile continues flowing beside them. Its gentle movement creates a soothing sound. The water never seems hurried. Never seems anxious. It simply continues. Perhaps that is why so many people find comfort near its banks. The river teaches patience. Back in the village, lamps begin appearing one by one. A small flame here. Another there. Soon warm points of light are scattered throughout the settlement. Each lamp illuminates a small corner of life. A family eating together. A child growing sleepy. An elderly relative resting near a doorway. Simple scenes repeated throughout the village. The grandmother sits outside for a little while longer. The night air feels pleasant. Above her, the first stars have appeared. Bright points scattered across a deepening blue sky. She watches them quietly. Many evenings have passed beneath these stars. Many conversations. Many meals. Many memories. The stars remain. The wind remains. The river remains. There is comfort in such continuity. Across the street, a young mother rocks a small child gently. The child is fighting sleep. Heavy eyelids open and close. The warmth of the evening meal and the coolness of the night air have created a perfect recipe for drowsiness. Eventually the child surrenders. Sleep arrives. The mother smiles softly. Another quiet evening moment. Another memory joining countless others. The village itself seems calmer with every passing minute. People move more slowly. Voices become softer. Children disappear indoors. Animals settle into resting places. The day's energy gradually fades. The carpenter finishes a final task before setting aside his tools. The potter checks drying vessels one last time. The baker prepares for tomorrow by organizing supplies. Even evening contains its routines. Small preparations made before sleep. Small acts that help tomorrow begin smoothly. The desert wind continues wandering through the village. Its touch feels cooler now. The heat stored in walls and roads slowly escapes into the night. The breeze carries the scent of dry earth. Sometimes it carries the faint smell of cooking fires. Sometimes it carries the scent of the river. The air changes constantly, yet always feels familiar. A cat moves silently through a narrow alley. Its paws make almost no sound. It pauses beneath a lamp. Its shadow stretches across the ground. Then it disappears into darkness once more. The village contains many such quiet movements. Tiny moments unnoticed by most people. Yet together they create the atmosphere of the night. The stars multiply overhead. More appear with each passing minute. The sky grows darker, deeper, wider. Soon it will be crowded with light. Ancient Egyptians spent many evenings beneath such skies. Without bright artificial light, the heavens seemed endless. The stars felt close, almost within reach. A fisherman along the river glances upward. He recognizes familiar patterns. The same stars guided him before dawn. The same stars watched over him while he slept. The same stars now welcome another evening. The connection feels natural. The sky has always been there. The river has always been there. The land itself seems woven together by these enduring presences. Inside many homes, evening meals have ended. Clay bowls are arranged neatly. Water jars are covered. Families settle into comfortable positions. Some continue quiet conversations. Others simply enjoy sitting together. After a long day of labor, companionship feels valuable. No entertainment is needed. No excitement is required. The presence of family is enough. The grandmother eventually rises from her place near the doorway. Her joints feel stiff. Age has slowed her movements. Still, she pauses before entering the house. She looks once more toward the sky. The stars shine brightly now. The breeze touches her face. The village rests beneath a blanket of calm. Everything feels peaceful. Everything feels settled. Inside, the oil lamp continues flickering softly. Its golden light dances across familiar walls. Family members grow sleepy. Voices become quieter. The day is gently drawing toward its end. Outside, the Nile flows through darkness. The reeds sway beside its banks. The desert wind continues its endless journey across the land. And beneath the quiet Egyptian stars, the village slowly prepares itself for another peaceful night beside the timeless waters of the river. The night deepens gently over the Nile Valley. One by one, the remaining lamps grow dim. Their small flames flicker softly, then disappear into darkness. The village settles completely. Conversations fade. Footsteps cease. Doors rest quietly against mud-brick walls. The long day, with all its work and movement, slowly slips away. Inside the homes, families sleep peacefully. Farmers rest tired muscles that spent the day beneath the sun. Fishermen dream beside the river that has guided their lives. Potters, bakers, builders, merchants, and scribes all surrender their thoughts to the comfort of sleep. The village breathes slowly now. Calm. Steady. Content. Outside, the desert wind continues its endless journey. It moves softly between silent houses. It brushes across rooftops warmed by the memory of daylight. It carries the scent of dry earth and distant sand. There is no hurry in its movement. Only patience. Only quiet. The stars shine brightly overhead. Countless points of light scattered across the vast Egyptian sky. The same stars watched over this land long before tonight. The same stars will remain long after this night has passed. Their silent presence feels comforting. Timeless. Steady. Far below them, the Nile continues flowing through the darkness. Its waters glide past reeds and riverbanks. Past sleeping villages. Past silent boats tied securely to shore. The river asks for nothing. It simply moves onward, carrying the quiet hours of the night with it. The sound of water blends with the whisper of the wind. Together they create a gentle rhythm. A rhythm older than memory. A rhythm that has accompanied countless evenings beside the Nile. The moon climbs higher. Silver light spreads across the water. Palm trees stand motionless in the stillness. The fields rest. The roads rest. The village rests. Everything that worked so hard beneath the sun now sleeps beneath the stars. The grandmother rests peacefully upon her woven mat. The fisherman sleeps near the river. The farmer sleeps within cool mud-brick walls. The baker, the carpenter, the potter, the children, and the elders all drift deeper into dreams. For a little while, no work remains. No responsibilities remain. No journeys remain. Only rest. Only stillness. Only the quiet embrace of the ancient night. And so the Nile flows onward through the darkness. The stars keep their silent watch above. The desert wind wanders gently across the sleeping land. The village dreams beside the river. The night grows deeper. The sounds grow softer. The world grows still. And somewhere beneath that endless Egyptian sky, beside the calm waters of the Nile, history slowly fades into silence, until nothing remains but the whisper of the wind, the shimmer of distant stars, and the peaceful feeling of drifting gently into sleep. Crescent moon sparkles.